to the dead. Let them come, let them come, let them come. We'll only have to meet them again. It's the best team in London, no, the best team of all. Everybody knows us, we call Millwall. Let them come, let them come, let them come. Let them all come down to the den. It's Saturday in Congo Lane, we've all come down to cheer. We've had our jelly deals and our glass of beer. Come rain or shine, all the time our families will bring. And as the Lions run off the pitch, everyone will sing. Let them come, let them come, let them come. Let them all come down to the den. Let them come, let them come, let them come. We'll only have to beat them again. It's the best team in London, no, the best team of all. Everybody knows us, we're called Millwall. Let them come, let them come, let them come. Let them all come down to the den. It's Saturday in Congo Lane, we've all come down to cheer. We've had our jelly deals and our glass of beer. Come rain or shine, all the time our families will bring. And as the Lions run off the pitch, everyone will sing. Let them come, let them come, let them come. Let them all come down to the den. Let them come, let them come, let them come. We'll only have to beat them again. It's the best team in London, no, the best team of all. Everybody knows us, we're called Millwall. Let them come, let them come, let them come. Let them all come down to the den. Let them all come down to the den.
Good evening. Welcome to the Den debate. I made this by the skin of my teeth, and I can see that Anthony has just about done the same. He's waiting to join the stream. Thanks for joining. It's been a couple of weeks since our last stream. We was going to try and keep it weekly. I genuinely have not had the time to keep it going, but we had to try and get one in tonight, partly because things have just, they're constantly on the up. Since the last time we did one, things were moving in the right direction, and they continue to do so under Sir Gary of Row. I'm not sure if you saw the live stream last night, but he got his knighthood back from me last night. And I was going to say this before I start. Some guy straight away, full-time, goes to me on Twitter. By the way, he follows me. Lions TV, what do you think of this? You're not a proper fan. You're just here for the views. So let me tell you this. I'm definitely not here for the views. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing a Millwall fan channel. What I can tell you is I have my opinions, and I have reasons behind those opinions, and I won't change them, and I won't always get it right. So, as someone commented last night on one of my Twitter posts, keep proving us wrong, Gal. Suits me absolutely down to the ground. And I think we can all agree that by the time I may have gone a little bit early with Row Out Shout, but by the time sort of 10 games ago, a lot of people were feeling the same way. So I wasn't alone with that, but somehow he has turned it around. I can say somewhere. I know where, the Den. And away from home as well, but the Den especially has returned to our fortress. What is the reason behind us doing so well? I don't know. I'm going to ask some of the boys tonight, but we're not going to dwell on this. Sorry, just look at some of the comments. I'm not going to dwell on this row in, row out now. I said what I said, and he's turned it around. I didn't think he could. I'm sure some of you agree with me, but we can all agree it's only a good thing. So tonight will be no row bashing. It will be, looking forward now, reviewing the games we have done in recent weeks. And on that note, I'm going to welcome Julius. How's it going, mate?
How's it?
You're slightly out of shot at a minute. Oh, that's a good start. He's dropped straight away. So, hang on. H is in as well. H is in. Instantly replaces Anthony for the audio viewers. Anthony was in very momentarily. Lost him. H, how you doing, mate?
All right, Geezer. Yeah, sorry it's a bit late. I am flying solo this evening, standard.
No worries. For those not in the know, you have a young son and you're looking after him on your own. Steve Lee flies in for preparation. I called this on late today, Steve, but we needed to get it done, H, because...
Yeah, Steve, I know.
You know,
We do.
you was row it out. We're not going to dwell on the row it in, the row it out scenario. Anthony's back in as well. Even in mini Pulis at the second
There you
assembly.
go.
We're not going to dwell on this anymore. You said to me very rightly after the last show, be nice to move away from the row it in, row it out debate now. H, you was right. I was wrong. That's football. Anthony always gives a calculated opinion. He's sort of like a politician, never gives a yes or a no.
The thing I would say, Dan, is I've seen a lot of like backlash on social media towards people who like yourself thought that maybe Gary Rowett's time was up, don't like his football, same as what Kenny comes on here and says, mate, that's what makes football great. It's all about opinions. It's all about opinions and looking at things in different ways. You can't just, you can't slag people off for having a difference of opinion. It is what it is. It's what makes it interesting. So, yeah, no, I mean, I didn't think it was time for him to go, but I've got to be honest, I'm surprised at how well things have gone.
Well, that was mad. That was mad because you said, I don't want him to go, but after these next 5 games, I think he will regardless. Fuck me, mate. 8 games later, unbeaten, 5 clean sheets on a bounce. We're staring at the right end of the table. And I just said, I don't know if he was in. I don't know if he was in for the bit I just said at the beginning, but a guy come for me afterwards on Twitter. By the way, he follows me, so obviously he did follow me. I blocked him because I couldn't bother to have the debate. You can say what you like, right? I have my opinions, but don't accuse me of not caring and just trying to go for the views. Because as I said, if I was going to do that, I'd do a fucking Chelsea channel, wouldn't I? Or something similar. I obviously care, and I've got this one wrong. But that's, as we say, that's why we're here. That's why we're all on the show. That's why people watch the show. So yeah, my boys, lots to talk about since we last met. I think it's been a couple of weeks, but we're all busy lives. Pulis is spinning the wheels of steel somewhere, probably. You've been fatherly duties and teaching the world how to teach. And I've been in there and everywhere on camera duty. So good to have you all back. We're all in now, boys. Aren't you good?
Yeah, ready to go.
Ready to go. Right, so we're going to wind it back, boys. We're going to work our way back towards last night. So we're going to start out with the Reading game. Was either of you present at Reading?
No,
I
couldn't make
I
it.
watched it on.
Oh, you
on
didn't
the
make it,
iPhone.
H. You give me some serious abuse on text. You wasn't even there.
No, couldn't make it.
Did you watch the game, either of you?
Yeah, I watched it.
So, Anne, a game for me, and I've said this now about the last 3 or 4, the Reading game was a typical Millwall potential banana skin because the Reading game, did I say the Reading game? I said the Millwall game. The Reading game, because we worked ourselves into a position where, hang on, we could possibly do it. Once we get that last step to the playoffs, an expectant crowd, expecting a win, a lot of fans going away, not far away from home. And that's usually the sort of game we slip up. Maybe we didn't. A 1-0 win. Of course, Jake Cooper against his old club.
Yeah.
That was his, well, if you're counting the own goal at Derby, that was his third game, 3 games. And how did it go for you, the Reading game? What were your thoughts on it?
I think I said in the podcast before that game, I said the way we need to set up is how we done against Derby, proper away performance, and the clean sheet. We got the clean sheet to show for it. I think we were all well organised from minute 1. The game started off a little bit slow, but I think, look, Reading have something to play for. At that time, although playoffs was realistic, it wasn't something that was immediately in sight. But Reading had something to play for that game because Derby was, I think they'd come off the back of a result. And I think we just played it perfectly. We didn't take too many risks, but when we were in the attacking areas, we took some chances, which we've seen some away performances like Blackburn where it just didn't work out. We kind of set up shop and let that happen. But with Reading, when we were in those areas, we actually had that decisive pass about us. We looked like we were going to score when we had the ball in their half. Obviously, Reading are in the bottom part of the table, so looking into our sort of season, we should be beating them. But as you said, it's a sort of team over the seasons where we would have come off a good run of unbeaten games, and we would have just lost 1 or 2-0. That's the sort of game it was, and we weathered their attacks. And look, we're always going to be a threat from set pieces. No one really wants to play us when we're in that sort of form where we're keeping clean sheets, because we're always going to have that one chance, whether it be a set piece, a hoofball in the air for one of our attackers to attack. So, I think I said before as well, if we stay in games, we've always got that chance in us because we're always looking at threat from set pieces.
I think that's where I've been impatient, and I'm learning. We always learn, boys, every day of our lives. But what you just said, if we can stay in the game, and I think we've seen in recent weeks, or we have definitely seen that. I started to get round to a part of Gary Rowett's thinking, get to half time 0-0. I'm over the moon with that now, because I know the second half has proved, scored both halves last night, but we seem to push on. Reading game, talk to me about it, mate. What was your thoughts?
A potential banana skin dodged, I think. New manager coming in, he's only been there. Was that his first or second game? I think it was his second game. I can't remember. I'm not an expert on Reading Football Club. Why would I be? And again, I just completely agree with everything that Ant said. Honestly, huge banana skin, and it just kept that momentum going. It kept that momentum going, and that's just started to take on a life of its own. I don't know how these play. I think all the teams are just knackered. I think everyone's been going back to back, every 2 or 3 games a week, back to back. And I think this sounds mental. I know I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think we played Huddersfield at the right time. I just thought that they just had got to the stage where they're like, what are we going to do here? And we just come out and they caught Bennett-ophobia on a good night, and that for me was their downfall.
Yeah, mate. I mean, again, this is the glory of football, because I don't think he's our greatest player, as I've said, but last night 2 goals. People saying we have got to sign Bennett, but we'll get there further down the line. Winding it back to Reading, as fantastic as Jed had been in those last 5 games, and this is what I've really noticed where I was making notes about 10 minutes before we started, is that Jed's been on fire since he come back from that injury. But in the last 4 games, I don't think he's played well at all. But I'm taking that as a positive, because as we know, we rely on him very, very heavily. And the biggest point, if you're going to do constructive negatives from Reading, and it was that the front 3 wasn't firing. I'm not blaming them for that. Ophobia was getting a lot of shit where I was sitting. Yeah. I think he's come back in and he wasn't fit. I think that Tyler Bury is under a lot of, physical pressure as well as mental pressure. He's come in, he's set the world alight, and he's put his bar there. And you see, as you said, like in the last podcast, Brentford are buying him, but just chill with Tyler Bury. We've done the right thing taking him out. But for me, we couldn't make anything stick going forward. So still get that victory over the line and was really good. What did you see in that game with regards to the front 3? Because it wasn't really at it, was they?
Yeah, what the Reading one was Bury, Bennett, and Wallace, right? So Wallace just in behind. Look, the thing is with our attackers, and even looking at the other games, we'll look at Reading, but there's all those attackers, bar Jed, who's obviously a name in the Championship. I think I've got friends that don't follow Championship football, but they've heard of Jed Wallace.
Of course.
They all have something to prove. Bennett's trying to keep fit and show the talent he's got. Ophobia, he's had a tough few years personally, and obviously, trying to find that club that he can settle down with. He's got stuff to prove, not just for the fans, but for himself, that he can still play at this level. Then you've got Bury, who's come into the team. He's, obviously trying to get himself in and around the first team squad as much as possible. And obviously Bradshaw being out, who's our top goal scorer prior. There's a little gap here for someone to sort of mark it as their own. And I think in that Reading game, although they didn't score or assist, I think Bennett and Bury showed that, they're committed to the cause. They were pressing well. They were trying to do the right things. They were running. Look, how many times were we moaning over the seasons that our attackers just keep putting it backwards or playing it safe? They were trying. Look, they weren't coming off. But when you're 1-0 up and you're trying to get that second goal, that's what you want to see, because there's been a lot of times where we go 1-0 up and then we just go, come on then guys, try and break us down. But sometimes the best form of a defence is try and play up the pitch and get a second goal, especially against teams like Reading who are struggling, because 2 goals and then their confidence and then the game's done. But I think with Jed, obviously his performance level on the ball has dropped. But one thing that he's always had is that, he's a workman. He still runs, he still tracks back, he still cares. And there's a lot of luxury players in other teams in the league where if they're not on song on the ball, they're not interested, they'll probably get taken off on the hour. But with Jed, he's still a crucial part of how we set up off the ball, and he keeps busy in that little pocket. I think that's why he's kind of excelled rather than being out wide, where he can get isolated and lost in a lot of them games. With this 3 centre-backs and wing-backs, the wing-backs don't really need as much protection because they've got that third centre-back on either side. So Jed's really just helping that midfield out, and he's in the right place for when we're on the break. So I think, as much as he's declined in performance on the ball, he's still very key to what we do, because other teams will still look at that and go, we can't give him space. So that's already throwing them off their game a little bit.
I agree, mate. I fully agree. So I'm just going to break off because I'm going to put that on the screen. R.I.P.
Yeah.
That's the guy that does the official club podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's terrible news.
Yeah.
Terrible news.
50. Yeah, shocking.
Yeah.
I read it before I come on. Yeah.
That must have been a sudden sort of thing, but obviously our thoughts are with him, and also Gary Grant, who I knew personally, passed away. Terrible times. That's proper shocked me. That, sorry, but I saw it. I just want to put it on the screen. But I'll get into that a bit later. Maybe I'll do a post. But back to the games. I think you're spot on. And do you know what, H? I said, I think, and you said it as well. And H, maybe you. This good run we've been on. We'll stick with the Reading game in particular. But just two things. The thing when Jed went past their fans, I started giving it that one. But he wants to play for the club, and he has said that he, potentially, if Mill get promoted, I think he might have said that as that's my out. I'm going to say, if Mill get promoted, I'll stay with him. Thinking we ain't going to go up, but now people keep saying to me, Dan, is it possible? Well, fucking of course it is. We keep beating teams, but Jed at Reading, as Anthony correctly says, he gives everything he's got. But I think that's been pivotal to. We all agreed that the two-man midfield doesn't work. But now it does, because I think Jed is that link between the strikers and the midfield. I think he's been, as Anthony said, as brilliant without the ball as with it.
Yeah, he's not afraid to get stuck in, and that's the thing, because you get a lot of these players who are kind of crucial for you being on the ball, and a lot of managers kind of don't want them doing that. But I think we've worked out now, like playing for Millwall, we can't really afford anyone to sort of roam around the pitch and wait for us to go on the attack. We kind of have to work as a unit, and that's what's happening. That's why I've been keeping clean sheets, because the way we're pressing and closing down has been the best I've seen it for a while. And on top of that, anytime the opposition have lost control in the midfield, we're onto that straight away, and that's why we're breaking quicker as well. With Jed already in the prime position, with the engine he's got, he's capable of being off the ball, pressing, and then running with the ball, which is quite rare in a player, I think.
Well, I was with, I don't know a name drop, but yesterday I was doing a shoot for Select Car Leasing, right? And it's with Doug Trump, the world's #1 snooker player. I knew he was going to be there. We got told 2 Reading players were coming along because, of course, they sponsor the Majewski Stadium. Paul Ince and Alex Ray turned up. I'm filming Paul Ince playing snooker with Judd Trump, and Alex Ray spotting the colours out the pockets. I was like, it's like some sort of sick dream. But I had a right good chat with Alex, and he said, we told the boys, watch the big man coming up, because they will get a set piece, they will capitalise. And he said to me, never underestimate the importance of the clean sheet.
Yeah.
The clean sheet is paramount, isn't it? And why do you think teams, going back to back, Sheffield United and then Reading, why do you think teams simply can't stop Cooper at the minute? Do you think it's height, or do you think it's something more?
I think we've started to put decent balls in the box. I think that helps. Like, genuinely, I think we've really worked on the quality of those crosses coming into the middle. I think also we've, there's a lot going on from those set pieces nowadays. There's a lot of people to mark and to watch out for. And I think that the hype around these other players actually doesn't do too bad. Too bad of a thing. 'Cause you're thinking, actually, we've got to watch all of these individuals. Mason Bennett's a live wire. He might get them a go. Okay, right. Benicophobe, well, we can never, he's scored at this level. He's proven, so we need to watch him as well. We also need to watch, Jed Wallace, crikey, do we stick 2 men on him? What are we going to do? And who's this Tyler Burry coming through? Oh, okay, right, we better stick someone on him. And then no one's mentioned Murray Wallace, and all of a sudden he's turning people inside out. And then they go, oh yeah, and also they've got George Saville, and he's an Irish international. What exactly are we supposed to do? And then they haven't heard of Billy Mitchell or Danny Mack, and so all of a sudden these teams, I think, are just like underestimating the quality of the other players that have now got 3/4 of a season under their belt. They've managed to stay fit. They've got confidence in bags that's cut like more and more. And I think that we're getting to a stage now where everyone's comfortable with what everybody else is doing, and like I've said for a number of times, Murray Wallace, my player of the season. I think he's probably quite a few other people's player of the season. Has just stepped in to that back three And I think that, Gary Rowett really was thinking he'd have Hutch, Ballard, and Coops at the back. But now he's got Murray Wallace there as well. It's just giving him a selection headache when they all are back and fit. And, with them, and then even if they do get through, you've got Bart in goal making some outrageous saves. Look at the Blackburn game, right? I mean, how Blackburn didn't win that 4 or 5-0, I will never know. I mean, and also like 0 XP, right? Not a single chance created. That's special. That is special.
We'll get onto the Blackburn game shortly, but you teed me up lovely there because you was mentioning all the players. And I think, as I said, with Jed not giving us, not saying not performing because he always puts in the shift, but not giving us those moments of magic. I think the last 4 games, all right, we've been very good, with the exception of the Blackburn game. But don't think I could potentially pick out an actual key player. I think they've just been fantastic as a unit.
Yeah.
So H and Anthony, whoever goes first, I don't mind. Standout performers at Reading, boys. If you could pick 1, maybe 2 players, who was your standout players?
I'd obviously go Cooper because he's got the goal and he's been part of a back 5 that's kept him out.
It was a shocking game of football, really.
Yeah, it was. Billy Mitchell, in my opinion, was very important in that game because the midfield area was just being congested with lots of shit balls back and forth, and he was helping cut the defense a bit of slack there because Billy Mitchell's not afraid to roll his sleeves up and get stuck in. And I think, as you said, not a lot of teams have heard about him probably. And I think he's probably surprised a lot of teams he's come up against because not only, it's easy enough to run around and make yourself a nuisance, but on the ball as well, he's got the odd mistake, that's only because he's still developing. But the way he's sort of carried himself over the last 5-6 games, you'd think he's been playing at that level for a few years now.
Yeah, I think, mate, listen, it's no secret I know him personally, but I think he gets massively undersold. I think he gets massively undersold, Billy Mitchell. And look, I do say sometimes could do with a couple more shots from your Bill, maybe a goal. But the work he does to protect that back 4, I think Saville's working really, really well with him now. But
Saville goes under the radar a bit as well. I think because he
really
was so good
alongside Mitchell, honestly, the last 3 or 4 games. But John James says our best 3 were Cooper, Ballard, and I think it's Murray Wallace. So the Reading game for me, I've done my video, so I'll keep it brief. But like H, you said, a terrible game of football. I thought it was, but at the same time, we just looked the more team with a little bit more swagger.
Yeah.
I didn't feel we was ever really in danger in the game, despite the second half. We couldn't seem to clear the ball. We couldn't make anything stick. But I never really felt at any point we was in danger. For me, Billy Mitchell was fantastic against Reading. Danny Mack and Daniel Ballard, just, mate, honestly.
Yeah.
The club said to me in the summer, we're signing no one other than Ballard and Jed signing a new contract. I'll probably go, I'll take that all day long. Hey, standout performance for you at Reading before we move on to...
Yeah, no, same as Ant. I agree, but with both of his, yeah.
Right, moving on to Blackburn. H, did you go in the end?
No. I've had a shocker these last few weeks with
You've dodged the bullet there. You've dodged the bullet. I didn't go, and then Now I'm gonna. This is such a weird thing because my best mate, he goes to me, "You're too fucking." As H sometimes says when he pounds me with text messages, "You're too fucking negative." Blah blah blah. Now Blackburn didn't have a problem with it because now I've had the 4 or 5 really good performances in a row. I understand you can't be at that level all the time. Like we're saying, fatigue setting in. And I just think, I called my video Operation Eagle Park. Get up there, get in, get out, get the job done. And moving back to the Reading game as well, obviously we become that team that, didn't play well but won. So many times in the past we've played well, got fucked over by a ref, or haven't played well and been hammered. Yeah. And I just feel we've got to that next stage now where Blackburn, as you said a minute ago, H, how we haven't lost 5-0 there, I don't know. How they haven't had a penalty, I don't know. How George Savile hasn't had a straight red card, I don't know. But we got in and we fucking got the job done despite not having a fucking, not even a shot on target, a shot. But for me, it was a fantastic point. I know they're slightly dropping, but they turned it around last night or the other night, didn't they? Beat Derby 3-1. But boys, on the Blackburn game, one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. But on reflection, in the circumstances, a great point.
Difficult place to go. We don't win there.
Yeah, it's the worst thing is as well. Like, well, not the worst thing. The best thing about it was that Rowett essentially tried to go for it at one point, going 4 at the back, and like, you know, he's set up to be a bit more attacking. Realized that, look, it's not our day today, and he's gone back. He was going to get a lot of stick. He knew that if we didn't get that result, he was going to get a lot of stick for changing back to a 5. And it come off. You know, it might not be the slickest managerial decision of all time, but he's identified that, look, 10-15 minutes into this formation change, it's not going to happen for us today. Blackburn played well. We're away from home. Conditions weren't great, and look, he's gone, look, let me go get Pearson for the last 20 odd minutes, and it's got us the point, because, you know, that game was there for us to lose easily. Bart made a brilliant save.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously, there was a penalty shout that was very, very tight. Luckily, there's no.
We
VAR.
don't get them, do we? We don't get them decisions.
So everything lined up for Rowett, and then he's acted on it and gone, look, I've changed the formation. It's not happening. I'm going to change it back. I might look like a numpty now, but if we can get the point at full time, we'll take it. And he's done it. Look, Blackburn were in a bit out of form, but over the last few games, they look like they're picking up again. So I think if we look back on it and we've had a good season, we might look at that at a point. Well, it is a point gained because we didn't have a shot. So we
did again. We didn't have a shot. So I think in the circumstances, look, if we've had that 0-0 on the back of 4 terrible performances and we picked up 2 points out of the last 4, but it wasn't. You know, it's flipped now. The situation has changed, and we're picking up that point. If you draw your away games, win your home games, then you get promoted. You know,
we managed like that. Let's have it right. We managed the game well for most of it. Obviously, they got through a few times, which is expected if they're going to have more of the ball. But the game management wasn't the worst. Like we kept them out. Cooper, Ballard. Well, before he come off,
we lost Ballard at half time.
They were all winning them headers in the air. One thing I have realised is a lot of teams are, whether they're not doing their research or not, they're playing into our hands a lot of time. That's why we look so good at the back. Like, putting in the ball for Cooper, Wallace, or Ballard, or when Hutchinson's there, it's meat and drink for them. They're not going to lose it. I think, was it last season we didn't? I think we conceded 1 goal from a set piece all season. Something silly like that. We're not going to concede goals like that. So if the midfield can manage it so that they're having to put balls in the box, we'll take that all day. And Bart's handling is decent as well.
I mean, look, they had the better of it. They had chances. I think they played some great balls in that little pocket that I always talk about, in between the fullback and the centre back, and getting in behind. But Bart's made one fantastic save, made no mistake. But H, he was like, "How have we not lost that game?" Talk to me on your thoughts about Blackburn.
I just thought it's a massive banana skin. Like, you know, we've got so many fixtures coming up. It should, you know, the game should never have been postponed in the first place. All those poor people travelled up there on that Saturday. And, you know, again, it's like I said, you know, I know that people, whenever I say this, people are always like, yeah, but that doesn't mean everything. We don't have a traditionally great record up there over the last few years. Like, there have been some shocking performances up there. It's pretty much, you know, beginning of the death knell for Neil Harris way back when. You know, we had the game a couple of seasons ago. We lost in the last minute 2-1. It's, you know, it's a challenging place to go to. I mean, you know, fair play to the 500 people that made it up there. But I mean, yeah, definitely a point gained. And also, you know, people were saying, oh yeah, but you know, they're off form. Yeah, but they are. I think they were 4th up in the table when we played them. And you know, you're going away from home on a Tuesday night to 4th in the table and getting a point. It's a good result. There's no other way. Clean sheet. Yeah, you know, and like Ant said, I mean, there's nothing more to really say about it other than, you know, when it became clear that we just are not going to get the rub of the green tonight, we're not going to be able to do anything in terms of scoring a goal or even creating an opportunity. Just sit back and see if we can soak up that pressure. And actually, it was the right decision. Now,
and look, we're down to the bare bones. Don't forget, the bench didn't really have a lot of
13 players or something.
He made the best out of what he had. Look, Pierce come on and done what he needed to do, and that's it. I don't think we really need to ponder on the Blackburn game as much as a performance, because it was postponed. The sort of game that we just wanted out of the way, and we knew that we had this run of tough fixtures coming as well. So it's all about just picking up points here and there when it's not going your way.
Can I give a shout out to Alex Pearce, because he clearly is coming towards the end of his career, and he got found out a few times last season and a couple of times earlier on this season. But when he's been called on more recently, he's always come out and give it 100%. Right, he's always come out, and I've got so much time for him as a professional. But he's not as quick as he was. Reminds me a little bit of like a defensive Matt Smith.
Is that because the way his legs run?
Yes, exactly. And I've seen tankers in the Suez Canal turn quicker than he can. But like that game against Palace, he just worked his arse off to make sure he kept us in the game for as long as he possibly could. Like you said, he came on with 20 minutes to go against Blackburn. They got quick attackers, Blackburn, and he digs in and does that. Fair play to the guy for keep coming on and just consistently lifting his game to play at that level.
No, I agree, mate. I completely agree. And it was a strange one because obviously we had Pete from the channel. He was up there and he was absolutely buzzing. I was absolutely cooing over it at full time. And people were saying to me, well, how can you be happy with that? After not one shot, I think Chitty did a video and said, literally not a shot. I said, now, at this stage of the season, I know I've said I want to be entertained. I know I said it's about, getting for what you've paid for. But they've given me that over recent weeks. And I realise now I was never getting that. Now I'm getting that every week pretty much. So there's going to be times where they are going to fall. They are going to be legged. Tyler Bury looked very tired in the game, and he was removed. Mason Bennett looked very good when he came on. So I think there's certain players playing in, circumstances they wouldn't usually be as well. But they're mucking in and they're getting the job done. And I agree with Peter, his full-time reaction. It was just get up there, get the fucking job done, and get out of Blackburn without your cab crashing, which happened to me and H up there a couple of years ago. You remember that? Going a cab outside the ground, he fucking reversed straight into a wall. So it's not the sort of place you want to be, especially on a Tuesday night. And I'm sure that probably, we feel that as fans, but I'm sure the players sometimes will be like, oh, we'd rather not be here. But they're back on the right track now, Blackburn. They got a result in a week, didn't they? So the worry is as well, when a team on the flip side, like Huddersfield kept winning, they got to lose at some point. Blackburn weren't scoring, couldn't win. So eventually they had to end that duck. And I thought we did very, very well to get out with a point, as I've already said. Draw your away games, win your home games, which we seem to do quite a lot. And you are in business, right? So that's Reading done. That's Blackburn done. And we're going to move on. Again, one which will divide opinion to the Middlesbrough game. Now, I saw this game. Again, my mate who says I'm too negative, he was like, and I was like, look, the biggest positive I can take from the Middlesbrough game, which is a criticism I've had about for a long, long time, is I believe from what I saw, and as we know, I'm not always right. Someone said that I said Jed should be playing the 10. That's the missing link for 2 years. I will take that, Steve. Thank you very much. But, the route thing, I couldn't see a way out. And it's not just been a way out. It's exceeded my expectations. But for me, against Borough, we went into that game with the desire to try and win it. And I thought it was two good sides, playing very different styles of football. Us aggressive on the front foot, them defensive, picking us off with pace on the counter. But again, I thought it was a really good point against Middlesbrough. Ideally a win, yes. And then, of course, you're looking at back-to-back 0-0s, good defensively. Offensively, we need to score goals. And I think if we hadn't scored against Huddersfield, again, fine margins, although we could have scored 5 last night. I thought the Borough game was a good game, boys. A good advert for the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Borough defended really well, I thought, as well. Like, I know it's easy to say because we didn't score, but I thought Borough defended a lot better than what I was expecting, because I thought we could have maybe caught them on the counter because obviously Borough did have a lot more of the ball. But in hindsight, both teams played well, and it could have gone either way. Bart made a good save. I think was it off Balogun.
Well, that's why I've just put that on the screen. Because in my video, I kept forgetting to mention it. It's very brave from Bart at the feet of Balogun. Did you think that? Because I thought in the first half, I thought it was the old cliche game of 2 hours. But in the first half, I thought he was on the front foot. I thought we put nice patterns of play together. I see our players, instead of getting to a point and coming sideways and trying to get it wide and get a cross in, I saw different types of movement, different types of patterns of play. Danny Mack kept running in that pocket of area that I always talk about. And I think, Mitchell hit one over the bar, McNamara over the bar, Afobe in the second half over the bar. But Afobe in the first half, a couple of times, he's touched it down.
Murray Wallace.
Yeah, we hit the Murray Wallace. It was a good header. I think probably the keeper might have had it covered, but I think we were just doing things that...
I'm sorry. I'm talking first half. I thought we was by much more the aggressive side, and I thought we had the better of it. I thought they looked...
It was new patterns of play. Yeah, first half, there was like sort of some moves that I've just not seen for...
Same, I agree.
Until we was in League One, because the standard was a little bit, weren't as great, and we had better players for that level, but we were actually opening them up and getting shots off, which, usually we're just trying to work it out wide, get the ball in the box and try and win the second ball in the box. And this time we were actually, trying to create, which I think the Huddersfield game was a culmination of what we were trying to do in the Borough game, where it all come together yesterday. But the Borough game, I think we must have, after Blackburn, we must have just gone, look, we're at home. If we want to make a go of this, we can't just sit back, and they actually expressed themselves. I feel like one of the first times where Rout's just gone, look, express yourselves a bit. You're capable of keeping a clean sheet, keep focus for the 90 minutes, but play some football, which I just think it's a shame we've not seen more of that, because I think there's been games, especially when we played lesser opposition, where we could have opened them up and still kept that clean sheet. So I think it's especially against a team like Borough. They're doing well in the cup. Obviously, they're going for that playoff spot as well. I think the Borough game definitely allowed for us to express ourselves even more yesterday. I think it gave us some confidence, because we left that pitch knowing that we could have lost, but we could have also won. And I think a lot of the times we leave the pitch just going, well, yeah, it was going to be a draw, because we were just kicking it out, or like just playing it safe. I think the Borough game was a good advert for the style Rout might be trying to sort of pursue.
Well, you're spot on as well, and I'll go to H now, because you wanted, and I'm going to keep covering it, you wanted him in, I wanted him out with a lot of our audience. But I've got it written down here, and I was going to cover it after we covered the games, but while we're on the subject, what do you think the shift is? Can we honestly, I'm baffled. The pinpoint, the shift, for us now knocking the ball around, for us now playing with confidence. Do you think it's getting a couple of wins, or has Rowett changed it? I can't work it out.
I think it's a bit of both. I think it, I think it's getting a few injuries back, and I think that when teams line up, I'll go back to the point I was talking earlier about hype, and about other teams when they look at a Millwall side and Jed Wallace is in it, that automatically ties 2 or 3 of their players. So he's someone we need to watch out for in midfield and in defence. And then you've got other players that can run off him and do bits and pieces like, Mason Bennett. And I think that's been a huge thing. And I agree with the comment was just there as well. George Saville, he's back and he's fit and he's match fit
to the midfield.
Do you think players have come match good? Fit. Saville's definitely improved. You think, and we seem to have found that although we found a winning combo in Mitchell and Saville, they currently are only fit midfielders. George Evans missed the game last night due to, I think, a calf strain. So do you think it could be a fact of, and I'm not taking anything away from Rout because he is the manager, but sort of certain scenarios and certain pairings have been sort of thrown together? Bury coming in, maybe. Saville and Mitchell may never have played really together before. I think you would have seen Evans, and the points Keith and all, but now them two have got to play together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's definitely an element of that.
I think the players we have now, the ones that have been left that Rowett has to choose from now, which isn't the whole squad, they're his best players for being. Look, we're not, even though we're keeping the ball better, we're still not winning possession. Like we still don't have the majority of the ball in most of these games. But these players are really good at being economic with it when we've got it. So, for instance, Middlesbrough had like 57% possession or whatever it was, but when we have the ball, we've got urgency and we're moving it quick. I think a lot of the players we've got at our disposal sometimes want to
But
keep it
why are we
safe.
now doing that? We wasn't
Because
we're doing now everything that I wanted us to do. We're going into games with the intention of winning it. We're moving the ball quickly. Like you're saying, the players have been allowed to express themselves. Why are we now doing what I've wanted us to do for the last
some of
year
it
and a
has
half?
to be down to the fact that, you know, these players are just happen to be the ones that are left, that he's obviously his strongest 11 to choose from, that have worked. Whether he knew that was going to be the case or not, who knows? But I think on top of that, maybe if he's seen that work for the first game he had that group, then he's kind of sort of investigated it more in training, tried to see how quickly they can play on the break, and it seems to have worked. Look, when you think about it, Bennett can beat a man, Bury can beat a man.
He's really upped his name, Bennett, by the way. But go on, mate, carry on.
Even when he come on the other day, do you remember the Blackburn game? He come on and he got taken down just before he's going to play someone through. Yeah. That could have been our shot at the game. That could have been our smash and grab. But I think he's just realised that, look, the players he's got now, look, Mitchell and Saville, when they get the ball, they turn and they try and find a forward pass. Danny Mack and Scott Malone are attacking the empty spaces that are left when the opposition on the attack. I just think it's all fallen into place to him, maybe conveniently, a bit of luck, but also Rowett's had to have a bit of nous and go, right, this is the style that might actually work for us pushing on. And, you know, it's a bit of everything. It's not just one thing. I don't think he just woke up and went, oh, we need to completely change what we're doing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I feel like that would have come a long time prior to like now.
Yeah, well, he's been dealt a hound, Rowett, and he's looked at that hand and gone, right, can I do this? Can I do that? H.
Yeah, and he's played it well, yeah.
Sorry, mate, because Steve answered last night. Steve was very much in my camp, and he said he thinks we're doing well in spite of Rowett, or despite Rowett. Do you know what I mean? But
I just don't understand how you can even what. So, well, then, if that's the case, let's fuck off every manager we've ever had and just fucking let them go and play. Because what's the point in wasting £3 million a year?
No, I agree. But I think there is an element of both. I agree with what Anthony said. Maybe. He's been dealt hands where he's gone, I've got this, and now, okay, well, I can't use these, so what can I do with these?
A lot of players, I think, like George Evans and Clifton, like they were like, he bought players that were safe, and I talked about this the last time on the show that, you know, he's a safe pick for JB, and that's what he wants because redevelopment, etc., right? He's now been forced to a position where he's like, crikey, I've only got 13 players. Well, fuck it, we might as well go for it. So there is a little bit of this maybe that's forced his hand, but at the same time,
he's still got to go for it and get it right.
Playing within the system that he wanted to, and you know, he may have been forced to start looking at people. I think he's been really good at managing the fitness of people like Tyler Bury and not just letting him go and get absolutely, you know, exhausted. Zach Lovelace weren't on the bench last night. You know, just all of these. You've got to keep a balance with these young guys. You can't just go in and throw them in. And I know we're talking about some players coming back this weekend, but they're not going to be match fit, and they're not going to be match sharp for another 5 matches. Do you know what I mean?
Way,
so it takes its thing.
I've seen everything on players.
No one, by the way, who gets dropped when Len's back. No one. He can just. He's useless.
What's happened to this guy? Where is he? Why have we not heard anything? I can't understand it. But boys, getting back to the Middlesbrough game. Well, I think, for me, first half, we was the better side, despite Borough getting the better chances due to people saying Benicofobia couldn't trap a bag of cement. They're probably the same people saying sign him up long term last night. But we sort of faded away slightly in the second half, in my opinion, especially midfield got overrun. But despite that, we had the better chances in the second half. And I think Jake Cooper's carbon copy header from the game against Reading. Shout out, by the way, I've walked round to the main entrance last night after the game, and Jake Cooper walked out and went, all right, mate. I went, all right, Coops. He went, make sure you give me a good review on the channel tomorrow. So obviously I was absolutely buzzing with a proper fanboy. But yeah, so there it is, Coops. He's been brilliant, mate. He scored goals. But that header, if it goes in, you know, people are dancing in the streets. We're getting promoted. I think
Mo Wallace.
Fan base. I think as a fan base, and I'm the first one to criticise. I thought some of our fan base, again, and as we say, it is about opinions, were harsh on us at Borough. It's shit. And again, I'll point back to Borough's one of them games where you win at Reading, you get a big crowd turn up. What happens when we get a big crowd turn up? We don't do the business. I felt we did well, and I felt that some of our fan base were very harsh because second half, if not for Murray Wallace's header being 6 inches lower or a foot lower, and their keeper not pulling out an absolute fantastic save, we win the game.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Borough changed it up a bit at half time, and I thought that in the first half they came to just sit and hit us on the counter because they had that pace, didn't they? They had that pace going forward down both of those wings. Exactly. And I think that, we can't and I was surprised. I'm with you, Dan. I was surprised at how attacking we were. I thought that we were going to go to a stalemate game of chess where we just were going to kind of and ah with the ball and just not not really make any inroads. But yeah, like you were saying, there was some passes. I thought actually there was some interesting pass and move stuff at the QPR game that we're starting to see cascade through now in some of those home games. And that's what, but what I would say is a lot of the teams that we've played around us, and I've said this all along, the championship this year is, with the exception of maybe Fulham and I reckon Bournemouth, anybody's, like, we are on a par with all of these teams. We can fight it out with all of these teams. Look at Forest, who are on an unbelievable run. I thought us and them basically just went at it for 93 minutes and they got, that lucky, stupid throw-in, whatever, people slipping over, and they got that goal in the very last second and their fans went absolutely potty.
Who scored that one? You're still losing sleep over who scored that one, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and but like, people I think were laughing when I said that I thought we could make the playoffs, but it really is within it's within our.
Well, it's here, boys.
If we win our next, if we win our games, right? Because all right, so we got Stoke, haven't we? But we've got Luton. We got Bournemouth, obviously last game of the season, which will be hopefully an absolute laugh. But look at Chef. Sorry, H.
I'll come back to you in a second. But we've got a league table on the screen for those who listen on audio. Chef U, they lost one game in 17 up to a couple of weeks ago, which was against us. They're 9th, mate. It's very tight at the top, and anyone could fucking sneak in that playoff position, couldn't they?
I mean, if you look at our fixtures as well, and I know that doesn't always mean anything because it's a championship and anyone can beat anyone. We say this the whole time. But if we can continue our home form was a big thing that really messed up during COVID, right? We didn't have the fans in, and we just, we started to become a bit of a soft touch at home, and it, like, losing to Bristol City in that FA Cup game was shocking. I just don't think that would have happened if you got fans in the ground. So we're starting to do that really good thing. Like, I just think, again, I mean, Stoke's a dodgy place to go to, but I think we could easily get a result there. And I think if we don't lose, we roll on to the next home game, and then we've got the big one really at Luton, right? And they've shown that they're not completely like infallible at home because they got beat by QPR the other night.
They did spell. You said anyone could beat anyone. They did spank Preston, didn't they? Well?
Yeah,
I mean, didn't run a score sheet, but I tipped Luton for a playoff spot. A few weeks ago, I said, "Watch Luton now," and I think they're a very good example of a team at a similar sort of level of us, or maybe slightly below. But when I was a kid, long time ago, they was in the top division. I always remember a game: Luton 7, Oxford 4, and Mark Steen scored like 3 or 4. And I couldn't believe the scoreline. They had a plastic pitch. They was in the top division, but they're doing really well in their current circumstances with, players that they've took a chance on. So
their budget's similar to us.
Yeah, to see us and Luton up there, mate, it's good to see. It's good to see. But right, that's the 3 games we've covered: Reading, Blackburn, and Borough. 2 away, 1 at home, 1 goal scored, no goals conceded. So by the time we rolled on to last night, we were sort of saying, yeah, it's good. Yeah, we got, a chance, but maybe one minor complaint, which is always our issue, is we don't score enough goals. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about my journey to the Den last night. I said I was filming in Reading. I got to the M25. Junction 9 to 7 was closed. I put on Waze, and my mate goes, "You've got to use Waze. It's the best sat-nav ever." It threw me off at Dorking. I went through Leatherhead. I went through Epsom Downs Racecourse. I went through some private estates. I didn't know where Sutton was until last night, but I went through Sutton and then into Addington, where whilst following a sat-nav half one eye on the road, I must admit, I've burst my tyre in a central bollard thing and managed to roll into the Lidl's. Now, 3 months ago, I wouldn't have broke a bollock to get there, probably. And this is testament to the team. But I've just rolled into a Lidl's, parked my car up, got an Uber, straight to the den, and stayed in a hotel last night. Went back this morning and changed my tyre because I just really, really wanted to get there. Now, I missed the first 15 minutes of the game, but I was following it on a Twitter feed. Now, I watched the highlights this morning, and my mate said to me, if you'd have said to me we was going to get a point against Huddersfield, who haven't lost a league game since the 27th of November, 17 games unbeaten, 5 straight clean sheets, after 10 minutes, if you'd offered me a point, I would have absolutely ripped your arm off. But I didn't see any of that. As soon as I walked through the door, we was all over him. And we went on to fucking fantastic things. But, boys, talk to me about what your expectations were for Huddersfield and those early exchanges that I missed.
I don't know. When I went in, because I didn't even realise they were unbeaten for that long either.
Yeah, no, neither did I. Not till today.
I looked at, obviously, lineups pretty much kept it the same throughout this kind of run, but I guess I thought we weren't gonna. I thought we were gonna be a bit conservative before the game, because I just thought, look, they're just like Blackburn. Obviously, we're at home this time, but they're up there, really putting the pressure on Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth have them games in hand. I just didn't expect us to open them up the few times we did early doors. I was shocked, but I thought I'd be classic us to really like try something different. Well, what we've been doing and being positive, and then concede in the first 15-20 minutes. And I don't know. I know Huddersfield had their spells of sort of attacks. I just never felt like they had that final thing. That's probably down to us just being so dominant at the back. Obviously,
I agree, mate.
Bart just makes it, even when you've got a good keeper behind you, like, it makes all the difference as well. So, as the game started going on, I was like, I reckon we could do it. I think first 10 minutes, I kind of had a feeling if we can get the first goal, then Huddersfield are going to play into our hands, because I think we just made them look kind of average. When we was
same as QPR.
Yeah, like, obviously you could tell Huddersfield had Huddersfield have good players, and they players that have performed throughout the season. But I just think we neutralised everything, and the chances they did have, I just think it was the sort of chances you'd expect a top team to get in away from home. And when Afobe got the second goal, I just didn't think he had that in him, to be honest. That Bobby
same.
No, but let's not go too far into the future, because we'll get there eventually. But just as soon as I walk through the door, I'm just like, because I'm in the cab going, fuck, they're all over us. I walked in, I've never ever, I don't think, been to the den late, but walked in, same side. People saying there that, have we forgotten? John James says, have you forgotten how good we are at home? No, but, fix your backlog, keep sitting in. We haven't scored in the last 2. And again, another game where you go, right, okay, so Reading's a potential banana skin. We've got through that. Okay. Borough, we get a big crowd. We'll probably let ourselves down. I didn't think we did that. I thought we did more than enough to get the crowds back last night. Of course, midweek, it's on Sky as well. The crowd, numbers-wise, attendance was horrendous last night. And always scope it by if you can see the den. Like how much you can see of them yellow seats in the Cold Blow Lane. But again, don't always perform on the. And I say I've got a note here. Bennick loves it on the custard. That's the custard and jelly, the telly. Scored against Palace on the telly, didn't he? We don't potentially always do well in midweek. I hate just thinking about it at home, but we've sort of put a lot of, not demons, but put a lot of sort of little gripes we've got to bed, and that's why I think now we are turning the corner and becoming that side that potentially can kick on. But H, was you there last night? Or was you?
I watched it on the telly, mate.
On the custard, yeah.
Yeah, on the custard.
That fucking big ass you got, beautiful gaff. But anyway, I couldn't believe when I saw that. Whoa, this guy's got a few quid. Anyway, first 10 minutes, Huddersfield. Someone said they didn't really threaten us. I watched it on the highlights this morning. It's 2 good saves from Bart. Coming to the game, as we said, 17 games unbeaten, 5 straight clean sheets. It was just total dominance for me. It wasn't
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting ready for the full-time reaction going, and you should never say this as a Mill fan. We won. They couldn't get near us last night. We could have scored 5.
No, by the end of it, you've got like George Savile in the middle of the park taking a piss out of people. I mean, it reminded, like, it really reminded, well, obviously it was very similar. It reminded me a lot of the QPR game. I went into that thinking, crikey, where are our goals going to come from? How are we going to turn on a performance? And actually, I was like, oh, you know, just because a team is in the playoffs doesn't necessarily mean that actually we need to worry about it. I mean, you know, if this has shown me anything, it's actually like I said, we're a match for anyone, you know, on our day. And I just think that, like, it's within our grasp. Just so many good performances last night. I mean, I can't. There's nobody that stands out for me as even having close to a not very good game. And like, you know, I think everyone there, I think they even said on Sky, everyone, you know, was at least an 8 out of 10 for Millwall this evening. And that tells you everything you need to know. Everybody stepped up. Can we keep that level of intensity with the squad we've got? Well, maybe if we get a few players back, we can. We do, but I mean, I think people are, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know, but you'll see. But what you are seeing is, you know, quite right. You've already pointed this out. Is a lot of teams actually like capitulating and just getting smashed.
Like, someone said we finally found that little level of consistency, haven't we? As well, we have. Like you said, H. We just, and I said this in one of my videos the other day. There should be a very, you know, quick, or maybe not even a team talk from Rowett now. Just, you know. We just keep fucking rolling now, boys. We're just rolling, and we just keep that momentum and that focus and that mindset going, you know?
Has anyone seen the Everton game? Apparently some geezer's cable tied himself to the post.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I did wonder what the long pause was for.
Yeah, I've just seen it.
Look, again, you know, we say, do we demand too much as Mill fans? And I will say it, I think the influence of our fans for being maybe slightly impatient, for demanding the best. I think Everton are a similar breed. I know people might not like that, but it's what it's all about, isn't it? And I think we demand the best, and Everton are a massive club that are having fucking troubles. And they need to get the fucking cable cutters out, because this guy's plotted up on a goalpost, probably exchanging pleasantries with Jordan Pickford. Who are they even playing?
Newcastle.
Oh, again, another club that is sort of on the up, but all this, you know, I see a lot about Eddie Howe lately, and he's got to answer questions now. I see Carragher and Neville saying these managers like Tuchel, like Klopp, like Guardiola have got to answer these questions. But listen, we're not in the Premier League yet. So that's a podcast for next week. For me, as I said, I missed the opening sort of wave, if you like, from Huddersfield, where they sort of maybe dominated the first 10 minutes. Would that be fair to say? I don't know. But when I walked in, we was
very
on the
busy. They were very busy.
Yeah,
but I think we were in their faces as well. Even though we didn't have much of the ball, it just looked like it was going to be one of those games where if we could just get that first goal, then it was just going to play into our hands, that game. Because I think I think apart from Fulham, I think we'd be happy. The fan base would say we'd take on any team, them coming at us when we've got a 1-0 lead.
Talking about it, go, Ant. We fucking did get it. And for me, it was from a move that very good football, very good passage of play. But again, final ball, not quite there, or final decision, not quite there. Ball into the box, cleared away to the edge of the box. And the prolific Benegaphobic. I'll give this guy some shit, man, but honestly, genuinely over the moon for him. Yeah. As I said, he loves it on the custard, doesn't he? He loves doing the business on the TV. And it's an outrageous finish from the edge of the box.
Yeah, he's picked that corner out nicely.
So
it was such a good, but like he almost, like, not being funny, those were probably the two most challenging chances of the evening that we had.
You get that with him a lot. He'll miss easy ones. He
had that ball into him where it got cut back, and then he's had to just kind of guide it in the corner, but he just hit it right at the keeper.
He seems very inconsistent. Like, I don't think he's bad. I think he's inconsistent. Like you say, H, he'll miss easier chances and then score the fucking difficult ones. And it was a really, really good finish, boys, wasn't it? Really good finish.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exceptional. Like, yeah, the first one, steering it past the keeper like he did. And then the volley that's kind of like half behind him on the turn, hitting it down on his laces. I mean, that should have been going on the Alderton Road and should still be rolling, for miles. Like, phenomenal. And, if you're Huddersfield, you're like, well, how's he done that against us? Like, I mean, and hope, like, fingers crossed, right? This is the start of him kicking on with a bit of form, a bit of purpose, and showing us actually, yes, I am worth signing.
He shows in games. There's snippets of him. He'll do something that just creates that little bit of space for the other attacking players.
Yeah.
So he's shown it in a lot of the games he's featured in. The problem is obviously number one, getting that goal sort of rate up a bit. But number two, just doing that over for the course of an hour, maybe 70 minutes, because it seems like it comes to life here and there for a few minutes, and then he's just kind of sort of chasing shadows for a bit. He's clever enough. He's clever enough to do it. He's capable. Obviously, look, his technique can sometimes be, well, a lot of the time his technique is a bit iffy, but for the championship level, he's got the attributes. He's strong. He's got a bit of pace for a big man. He's not bad in the air. On his day, he can finish, and he's got that sharpness that championship striker needs. It's just about getting it all together like he done yesterday.
Yeah, I think for him, inconsistency is a massive thing. But I think he scored a goal recently at home. I can't remember who it was against, but he sort of run off because he missed 4 or 5 previous, and he ran off giving it one of them. So as fans, we're hotheads and we're like, fuck him, why ain't he scored? But he don't let that pressure get to him. He don't get pent up. He stays calm.
Could have got a hat trick.
Focused. And I've got to tell you, honestly, and I'm in someone else's box this season. I'm box 1. So I'm right next to the away fans. And it isn't an easy watch from where I am when we're shooting towards the Coldblow Lane. And I didn't give him anywhere near enough credit on reflection of watching the highlights. So on that basis, super chats are open. If you want to donate to the channel, we are going to try and get our own box next season. A little bit closer to the halfway line. But that second finish, boys, he makes it look so easy. He makes it look like it's not really a great goal, if you know what I mean. If Bartley's that, I think he's pissed off because their keeper's thrown both his hands at it and completely missed it. But it's a great finish.
It's just the way the timing on that. I think a lot of people don't realise how hard it is to get it that when it's coming down, how you can to keep it low as well in the corner. That's like a Premier League level type of goal, in my opinion. I
completely agree. Do you know what? Like on our podcast, we have Phil Coleman on, ex-Millwall player for those young of us who may not have seen him play, but he really rates Benik, and he's like, look, he actually hasn't had the service that he needs to try and score some of those goals. And I mean, I think some of the performances I've been very critical of have been ones where he's either gone missing, maybe he hasn't had the service, but also maybe just like being dominated by defenders every once in a while. I don't know. I think yes, Charles has hit the nail on the head there for me as well. Sometimes his first touch is like, well, Dan, like you say, like a trampoline, which I just think is hilarious. But do you know what? Like, my question is, can we do any better, or is it better the devil you know with signing someone like Benik? He does work hard a lot of the time. His heart is in the right place, and you've pointed towards the personal struggles he's had. I said at the beginning of this season, for those people that were listening, that I didn't think it was going to work out or be a particularly great signing, and I think he's done kind of what I expected. How many goals has he got? 10? Is he in double figures?
He must be in double figures now.
9 now. 9 now. He's 1 away from 10.
You see, so I thought he would probably do a Lee Gregory 12.
I mean, I think as much as I love Gregors, I think we need to remember Gregors was scoring the goals that he did in League One. I think he didn't hit the heights of the Championship. And I feel that sometimes Afobe can be compared to him. Funny enough, I walked through the door tonight and my old man always goes, "Any news?" And I said, "No, I've got nothing for you." But he went, "The fucking problem is Afobe now. Everyone's going to be queuing up to buy him, or we're going to cost us a load of money." And you're shaking your head, H, and rightly so. Like you say, better the devil you know. I think that Raul, as we know, likes to go back to players he's worked with before. He is available on a free transfer.
Same never worked with
at the end of the
Messi.
season.
I think
Michael
he's
Eason's
improved.
alluded to that.
Yeah.
Let's have this chat. Would you say what he's going to say, H? But also, then would you sign Benicophobe if you could?
Yeah, I would, because I think he's actually improved in having that second striker. A lot of the games were towards the beginning of the season.
All right,
he was up top
himself.
alone.
Yeah, and you're
And
right.
I just think, look,
play.
that season with Wolves, I believe there was a second striker with him when he scored that 30 odd goal season, and I just think it just suits him that we can't rely on him with that first touch and holding it up perfectly, because look, he's not the youngest player now. He's always going to have that in his game. That's
29. Yeah, he's not going to eradicate
what he can
that
do, he's going to improve. He can improve in a system, though. Look, he's going to get to the end of the season, hopefully with double figures. It looks like
that's his best return for a while, I think. As well,
where that will get us in the table is another issue. But I think surely second season, he's 29. Look, he's still not that old. He can improve in the system. Having another season playing with the players he's got around him, Bradshaw coming back, he formed a good partnership with him. Got Bennett, who's hungry to get game time and is playing well with him. Bury there. I think Afobe is going to do well with the competition around him, friendly, healthy competition, and I think he's going to be an important player next season.
And look, do you know what? Loads of the comments that just come through then, I absolutely agree with. Do you know what? Like, if he's free in the summer, well, it's a bit of a no-brainer. But if he's going to cost you 1 or 2 million, I don't know.
I agree with MFC 1885 here. I think before last night, and again, are we fickle? This is football, as we always say, a couple of cliches. I think before last night, people were saying no. People saying, "I hope he's shit. Why is he getting in?" And all of a sudden, we got to sign him because it's fresh in our mind that he scored 2 goals.
But goals. When was the last time we had a striker hitting double figures? Like we've been relying on Jed. Well, we might have had someone hit 10, but it looks like he'll get 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. But
let's hope it does, Ant, because that will be firing towards the playoffs, mate. Genuinely.
We've been relying so much, which isn't a bad thing, getting goals from the back five, back four, getting Jed on the score sheet. Obviously, Bennett started to contribute a bit when he was fit last season. But, there comes a time when you just got to we've got a striker here that's, he's not Mitrovic, but he's scoring some goals. And for a while now, we've just been kind of waiting on someone that can sort of get goals for us at the top end of the field. And it looks like, he might not be the perfect answer, but it looks like he can do that for us. And with another season under his belt, maybe he can improve on his tally. But if we're looking at the wider market, what striker are we going to get? Unless we pull out a Morrison or a Vardy or someone like who's from non-league. League One strikers are costing a lot more money than what they're used to now.
It's not. And they're scouted to death as well. As soon as someone pokes their head up, 5 or 6 scouts are down there, and it's, do you want to come to the den?
Exactly. I always allude to this in my videos that we've got Isaac Alafe there who's currently injured, I think, or something. But people say, what else are we going to get? I think that as much as I don't always think his first touch is fantastic, we can all agree it isn't. He has the passion, as Brian Rose says. I think he offers more than the goals as well.
Yeah, it's about what he creates a way of creating space for other players. Obviously, he does run and he does press quite well, I think. And it's like, I think he could improve on that, but I think it's not due to a lack of not wanting to be there, like other players we've had, like Troy Parrott maybe or someone like that. But our best bet, if we don't sign a Phobe, would probably be finding a striker on loan.
Good shout, Michael.
I think that would probably be our best bet, because signing someone with the sort of budget we've got, I don't like using budget as an excuse, but with the sort of team
you have to factor it in, mate.
We're going to be finishing in the top half. 3 seasons running now if we do keep this spot and we don't get playoffs. But there comes a time when you've just got to look. We've got someone here. We could make him better. Look, he's 29. He's not going to come on leaps and bounds, but we've got someone here that there could still be improvement with. Free transfer, definitely no brainer. If it costs a bit of money, then obviously you'd have to assess that, because you kind of have to look at the balance of the whole squad. But I think if he's there for the taking in the summer and he wants to stay, which it kind of looks like he might want to, then who are we to turn down another body that has contributed this season?
I think as well, sorry, H, like you said as well, we scout things to death. I think you've got to look at the bigger picture. He's aerophobia. We know what he's capable of. It's a lot better than a return than we've had from other loanees. So if we go out and try and scout players, like H says, scout to death, we've got to pay a scout to do that. We've got to negotiate with maybe a club to bring someone in. That's all costing money even before you even signed anyone. So, H, go on, mate. You fire away what you was going to say, but you're nodding at quite a lot what I'm saying.
Well, I think, look, if you can get him for free, we've got a new head of recruitment that's come in, and I just think that you then can actually take a bit of a risk on another striker, on a player a bit like Ollie Burke, right? Because that's the kind of player that we attract, right? Like but that kind of it's Scottish international, been injured, played at some unbelievable places all over the place.
There was potential there for him to
huge potential there, But I think it is, instead of getting these loanees in, it would be nice, to see some more of our youngsters coming through if and when we can. I don't know.
Michael makes a good point there, because we expected huge things from Troy Parrott. We expected huge things from Ken Zahor, and myself included. Some of us are still going, well, I'm not sure about Afobe. Why? Why are we not sure? Because if he controlled every ball perfectly, if he scored every chance he had, then the old cliche again, he wouldn't be at Mill, would he? He could have scored 5 last night. Watching them highlights back, it's the post, it's the bar.
Dan, I mean, some of the misses this season have been.
No, he's got bipolar, isn't he?
He's bipolar.
You've got to just hope
actually astounding. And do you know what? And I'll make one more point, and maybe slightly unfairly. And do you know what? I think the best point that you've made here about him is actually maybe I'm judging him too much when he was playing as a one man up top, which is really. Do you know what? I'm going to go away and reevaluate some of that. So thank you for giving me something to think about tonight. But one point I would make is, when we weren't getting the rub of the green, when we were struggling, it felt to me like he was going missing a bit more. And I know obviously loads of people do that, but I just go back to that Blackpool game, and I mean, we were all pretty shocked in that day, but yeah, he really wasn't. I can't remember what game it was as well. He missed a sitter from about 6 yards out, and he had the whole, and how he missed that goal at Fulham. He's in front of the goal and he manages to head it into the side netting, which baffles me. I mean, you'd have to put like side spin on it. It's like fucking Shane Warne coming around the post.
It was harder to miss it than to score it.
It was hard, but Danny put it into the side netting and he was in front of the goal. How do you do that?
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, it was what it was, and it is what it is. Let's hope this is the beginning of a scoring run for him, because if it is, he's going to fire us onto the verge of the playoffs, like 100%, right? Because our defense is only going to get stronger with the return of Hutch. Like, that is going to be a solid unit, and teams are now not going to want to come to the Den. No. Who's going to want to come to the Den?
It's a shame he can't play against Stoke, can he, on Saturday?
Well, let's address that. And listen, if we say Millwall, beat the teams that they shouldn't, lose to the teams that they should, Afobe scores the chances he shouldn't and misses the chances that he should, and this is Millwall in a nutshell. He scores 2 goals, now ineligible to play against his parent club against Stoke on Saturday. So what the fuck do we do now?
Sign him quickly this week.
Who's even available now? I guess Bury's going to have to go up top with Bennett now.
Either that or we'll put Jed central and play like that false 9. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Moving on to Stoke, boys. He's let us lovely onto it. Stevie Lee says the key is Mason Bennett, who's been a revelation.
That can beat a man in our team. One of the few players that can beat a man
and score a goal.
Yeah,
and score out of nothing. I always, whenever he gets the ball, I'm like, he could do something unbelievable now, or it could just go. He could just injure himself.
I know. Every time he goes down, I fucking worry, mate. I worry that. I mean, look, Benno is a great player. It wasn't too long ago people going, this fucking geezer. I think we've all agreed that he's always had talent, but he seems now have that bit between our teeth, bit between his teeth, doesn't he?
Keep him fit is the thing. Management with him is going to be key. You can't play him every minute of every game. That's just not going to happen. It's about making sure he's playing in the right games at the right times as well. Whether he be more effective coming off the bench or starting a game, like I think that's for Rowett to kind of manage, because if he wears him out and he's not fit for the rest of the end of the season, that is a big loss, because we don't have many players off the bench or starting who can actually drive with the ball and get us up the pitch. Now Ojo's come back. Maybe, he looked all right when he was just before he got injured.
Yeah.
But how fit is he going to be? Because I know it was a serious injury and he's come back quite quicker than...
Yeah, he was on the bench last night, Ojo, and I thought there's no way he's coming on. But with Bennett, I agree. I see if he's starting, I'll go, he won't play the whole game. Or if he's on the bench, I think Bennett's coming on with 20 to go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But Saturday now, again, this is the curse of it, because I always accuse not just Rowett, but all managers of, if it's working, don't fucking change it. Just keep rolling. But now we have this separate issue with Benik Afobe ineligible on Saturday against his parent club, as we said, Stoke. So
Mahoney's been knocking about on the bench for a while. He's not really got much action.
I can promise you Mahoney he's leaving the club at the end of the season. He's done and dusted. I know that for a fact. So he's going back up north. I can tell you that as absolute fact. I probably shouldn't have told you that, but I have. There you go. I've had 3/4 a bottle of red now, so I don't really care. But but yeah, it just can only happen to us. Bennett, 2 goals. It must be so frustrating for him as well. To not be able to play against his parent club. His best return in a season for a long time. But yeah, what do we do Saturday? Do we change the formation? If we do, people will say to Rowett, why the fuck have you changed it? I think Bennett will start Saturday. I think he'll play Jed.
Yes.
And I think he'll play Bury.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then obviously people saying Lovelace injured. Bennett won't last. No disrespect to Bennett. How did we get on there last year? Did we win in lockdown 2-1?
I think we did win in lockdown there. Yeah.
I think Bennett scored the winner, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think. Crikey, who would you play in the middle up there? I don't even know. I mean, he wouldn't have started Zach Lovelace anyway.
No.
It's the last game before the international break. I think the team talk's just simple. Roll your sleeves up and give it 100%, because you've got 2 weeks to rest now after Saturday.
Yeah, agreed. So let's move on to Saturday, boys. Stoke away. I would take a Blackburn-esque performance and result all day long. All day. We're saying we've got to go up there. See someone earlier say we've got to go up there and win, and this will get us on the sort of be the start of something. We've been on some mad run already, mate. So for me, get up there, be shit. We get 0-0. I won't be complaining.
I think if we perform how we did against Blackburn, I think we get a few chances to win the match, to smash and grab. When you've got Cooper in your team, you're already, any set piece, you're already making the opposition uncomfortable. Blackburn dealt with it quite well, but they're a top team. Stoke have been struggling. I think they lost a hole yesterday or Tuesday. I think if we play like we done against Blackburn, I think we get some chances. We might not take them, but if we do, I think it could easily be a 1-0 smash and grab. But I would take a draw as well, just simply because of the lack of players. And then go again Luton after the international break.
Yeah,
massive.
I completely agree. I think it's set up for a smash and grab. I think, someone like Tyler Burry just running at them, Mason Bennett, massive. Bradshaw, but even if Bradshaw is back, he will not be match fit.
It was like Ojo, and Ojo was on the bench the other night, but he was just on the bench. He was never.
I'd be surprised if Ojo got like 15 minutes maybe towards the end to try and get something if it's still 0-0.
Or just to fill a void, mate, if anything, because we got a lack of players. It's always a good thing when Walter Sampaio is in the chat. Hello, he's got a better fucking fan base than I have, Walter Sampaio. But Kerry Lane is throwing a spanner in, or his opinion. It's not a spanner. Fellas, we all need to slow down. Slow the fuck down. Gary Rowett's tactics have been shit. I know I've been away for a few months, but the momentum is down to the players.
All right, Kerry. Tell you what, we'll just sack our managers then. We'll sack our managers, and then we'll save ourselves $3 million a year. We'll save
get
that money. We don't need
Pearson-
managers
Alex
then. If
Pearson
it's not,
charge.
he's got nothing. We don't need anyone in charge, and we don't need anyone in charge because it's got nothing to do with Rout. It's just down to the players. Okay,
I'm not
fine.
laughing at you.
And
I'm laughing at you chewing on it. But listen, mate, look, we have to respect your opinions. I know he's not alone in that opinion, but look, you know,
Okay, well,
it's
then,
all he can
I'm
do.
being serious then. It's fine. Everyone's
No.
talking about wanting to free up money for Jed Wallace. This is how we do it. Sack Gary Rowett, okay? We use his money to sign the players and off
Let
we go.
the players govern themselves. No, I agree, mate. I agree. Look, credit where
'Cause,
credit's due to Rowett. And do you know what? I
It's
feel
not like Alex Ferguson did anything at Man United, was it?
maybe I love how much you chew on it. I've get Gary out. He's in your spare room. Bring him on. No, listen, credit where credit's due. He got his night back from me last night. I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong. It's been known before. Both my ex-wives will agree on that. But do you know what I mean? We have to give credit where credit is due. I think the players' influence and their attitude towards it. I don't know what sparked it off because this all came on the back of the Blackpool game, didn't it?
Oh,
but it's happened now, so let's just fucking enjoy it and go with it. Let's not overanalyze it. Let's just enjoy what's going on.
It's like something changed at half time against West Brom.
Really weird.
It's like maybe they taped Gary Rowett into a closet in the dressing room and went, right, lads, let's go and see if we can make this work. If it doesn't work, we're all going to get the sack. So we've got to go out second half and just absolutely nail West Brom or we're all done. And they did it. And then they let Gary out. They showed him the second half and said, look, boss, this is what we can do. And this is why we are where we are.
All jokes aside, I know there was unrest. But look, we cannot, fault or argue or complain with what is currently happening. We cannot do that.
Fair play to Gary Rowett. He called a few senior players into his office after the Blackpool game or a game just started. Maybe it was after the Preston game or something. And he spoke to them and said, what do you think is going wrong?
How do you know that?
I heard it somewhere, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
No, I'm not. You are right. You're right, but I didn't tell you this. So I don't know where you know it.
Dan, if people listen to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast out every other Friday at 8 p.m, then sometimes you get these nuggets of information.
Yeah. You're spot on, mate. I know for a fact that happened. So I was like, whoa, I didn't tell you that. But no, go on, mate. Continue.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, okay. Maybe there's been a shift in something, but do you know what? Fair play for Gary Rowett for doing something like that, because there would be managers out there just would have been stubborn and just been like, I'm going to carry on with this and not even consult some of my senior players to see if we can come up with a solution to it. So, yes, the 3-year plan. Yes, I love that.
Michael Heasman says the international break scares him because we are actually
lost some momentum. Yeah,
it's good and bad though. It's like we get all our players back now, and I wouldn't. Obviously, a lot of people are like, "Oh, what will he do when we get the full squad back?" Honestly, I think we just keep it as it is and kind of like bring the players back as we go in. But in terms of like the momentum, obviously that's just going to be shot now. Like coming back against Luton as well is a big game.
Be the same for them as well, though.
Yeah, exactly.
For a bottle of jam, shall we? Frankie Fanny saying, why is no one talking about Bury's run at the end? It was nothing but brilliant and pure determination. I just don't want to put too much pressure on top. Look, and it's another one that potentially I got wrong because I used to see a lot of him and I used to go, it's just decision making, final ball. But he seems to have rectified that. But I don't think we should put in a playoff push, which it now is. Let's make no bones about that. Too much pressure on the youngster like Tyler Bury. I say youngster, I think he's 21, something like that. But let's let him come in as and when. We need to look to senior players in this situation, boys, don't we?
Yeah, massively, because a lot of these players now have the experience of 2 seasons in the 2-3 seasons in the Championship. We've pushed for the playoffs for pretty much most of them and fallen a bit short. A lot of these players have had this experience now where they're in and around that, the top end of the table. So the penny's got to drop at some point for some of these players. And actually, even if we just get to the last game of the season, still competing, that's an improvement from all the other seasons. I think the QPR game when there was no fans, that was so frustrating because if we had just defended properly, we would have kept ourselves in it for the final push. So I think we shouldn't get too ahead of ourselves as well. There's a lot of other teams around us that are going for the same thing. Borough and Forest are probably going to be a bit distracted by the cup, so maybe we can take advantage of that.
Agreed.
And Luton and QPR are there for the taking, because Luton over the years we've had them in our back pocket on the whole, and QPR we've shown that when we played them recently that we're better than them. So it's hard because I don't want to get too carried away, but on the sort of judgment of the last 8 games and how we've been over the last 3 seasons, I think we've got the players there that have got experience now. And we've got a few youngsters like Danny Mack, Billy Mitchell, Bury coming in and adding a bit of freshness.
And that's what the fans love to see. They love to see that. I know it's all good, but the homegrown as well. And I don't think we've hardly mentioned. We've hardly mentioned Billy Mitchell. We haven't mentioned Danny Mack. Like, these are the types of players that, and I know you love. We love to see, don't we? Progress at the club, and I think they have been allowed to do that more so due to lockdown, especially Tyler Bury. Billy Mitchell's already established. But the club is in a good place, but still, myself included, we want to stick our fucking orange, you know what I mean? But we're in a good place, boys. Let's talk about these playoff positions. Where do you, honestly, both of you see it going? And if we're not in the top 6, will we be? And if not, who will be? H?
I think Huddersfield, despite their loss to us last night, are probably there just because I just can't see them not picking. If they get 10 more points, 73, I can't see a team with 73 points missing out on the playoffs. I think Blackburn, Luton, QPR are all there. I think one of them will potentially go on a run that will cement their place in the playoffs. Out of those teams, I haven't thought much of QPR this season.
Do you know what? QPR, my mate said at the start, early on, they'll go up. I said they always fall away, but they haven't. Well, they lost the other night.
I didn't think they were that great first game of the season. I thought they were shocking at the Den. I genuinely did. I mean, for all the noise their fans were making on their way to the ground, I was like, this could be a real evening where we get put back in our place, and we put them back in their place, which I love to see because I can't really stand QPR, to be honest.
And Fulham.
Yeah, well, let's hope Mitrovic enjoys his 4 goals next season, and then they come bouncing back down, and he can come back down to the Den. And one time we're going to do him, and he's going to have to walk off the pitch. So that'll be brilliant when it does finally happen. But no, Dan, I genuinely don't know. I think it is just going to be a complete bum fight when we get back. I think Forest, just with that momentum, just look, like that Steve
good manager
Cooper,
and all. Gollum's a good manager.
He knows what he's doing.
Wilder's got teams out of this division before.
Sheffield United, we haven't even mentioned them.
Well, look, as I said earlier, they lost 1 in 17, which was to us, and they're still 9th. I mean, Forest. You look at that, you think Middlesbrough, Forest, and Sheffield should all be there. I still think Blackburn may drop out, and I think QPR may drop out. I think Luton is a surprise package. But before I move on to Barnsley, right? My who Barnsley
last season, right? Barnsley with a surprise package. They drifted into the playoffs in 6th, didn't they?
But with the Bournemouth thing as well, I said this to my mate who I work with. He texted me last night, and he's like, "Moo," because we done fucking Bournemouth a favour. Do you know what I mean? But Bournemouth, for me, were a Premier League club, and everyone was like, "Oh, look at little Bournemouth. They shouldn't really be in the Prem, bless them." They got relegated, and everyone was like, "Well, it don't really matter if they don't go back up because they're little Bournemouth, and they knock around in, predominantly the lower divisions." But they went out in a transfer window, and they signed Kiefer Moore, Jamal Lowe, the other blonde kid from Norwich, or a name I can't remember. So now there's a little level of Campbell. That's it, Todd Campbell. There's a little bit of a level of expectancy for me around Bournemouth now, and I feel they sort of took that pressure on their shoulders, and now they're expected to do well. And I do think they're gettable. Great manager Scott Parker, and you must be thinking a minute, why did I leave fucking Fulham? But I don't know. I just think Huddersfield will probably be there or thereabouts, despite us absolutely tanking them last night. I think you'll see Borough, Forest, and Sheffield all there, and I think it could be between sort of us, Borough and Luton for that final place. But boys, if it doesn't happen, it's been a great season. But Anthony, what's your thoughts, mate? Can we make the top 6? And if not, who will be there?
I think obviously we can make it. Obviously, a lot riding on Saturday. If we can not lose, I think then it is just this case of a sprint to the finish. We're looking at all the other teams that are in there. Like I think us and Forest are probably only 2 teams that are consistently in and around there. Obviously, some of them got relegated from the Prem. Teams like Luton and QPR. QPR only started coming good over the last couple of seasons, end of last season and this season. I think we've got that know-how of just being in and around there. And that's just a case of if Rowett and the players he's got can use their failures over the lot. Well, we call it failures. We were doing better than expected. But if they can use that failure of not making that 6th spot and actually learn from it and push this season, we've got players like Cooper at the back now who's been there throughout. He's probably one of the best defenders in the Championship, in my opinion, on his day. If we can keep that with, obviously, the keeper who's got the most clean sheets, and keep that defensive record we know we're capable of, I really think we could sneak that 6th spot. It is all our defence has just been immense over the course of 3-4 years when you take it all into account. Obviously, we've had our off days, and some of them have cost us a real push at the playoffs. But if we can keep our defensive record as it has been, I think we've got enough going forward to get us the wins that were draws last season, because we were drawing left, right, and centre last season. We've got enough attacking players up the pitch, combined with our aerial threat, that can get them draws into wins, and I think that could be the difference this year. And if we can keep this unbeaten run going, then we could be that team. We could be that team that hits 6th spot and the surprise package. Obviously, there's a long way to go. We've seen so many Championship seasons that have ended up being like a different top 6 that was like prior to the month before. But why not? I mean, we've beaten and drawn pretty much all the teams that are above us.
Funny enough, I was going to say that. Obviously, other than Fulham, lost twice. Bournemouth, we drew. Huddersfield, we took 3 points off. Blackburn at home. Can someone remind me of the score?
Was it a draw?
I'm not sure. Luton beat us. QPR, we took 4 points. Middlesbrough, we took 2 points. Forest at home or lost? Forest away?
Drew.
Sheffield United, we've taken 6 points off, but
none of those teams scare me. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Like, I'm not scared of them. Obviously, I'm cautious of them. When we go there, I would never go going, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to win. But none of them, I'm just like, oh, we're definitely not going to. If we made the playoffs, I wouldn't go, oh, I want to avoid them or I want to avoid them. I'd happily play any of them teams above us, because I think the way we play, it doesn't really matter who we're playing if they're going to have more of the ball than us. It's in our hands in the sense that if we can keep to and play to the style that is working, I don't think it really matters who we're playing, apart from Fulham, obviously.
So someone just put a comment on which I want to highlight, because it's where I was leading to, and the guy sort of got in and sort of there it is. Stephen Banks, question to you three: can we afford to go up? Because apart from maybe Danny Mack, who else is Premier League standard? I would love to go up for the money alone. I'm sure as
you get money.
We have one season. I think we'd hold our own for one season. I think we'd escape it. I think we've got proven track record. I think you get a lot more gate receipts. We've beaten Leicester, Bournemouth, Watford, nearly beat Brighton.
Yeah, I think our home record wouldn't be too bad,
No, I agree.
I think away from home we'd struggle a lot, but at home, I think
we want to go up surely for one season. And I don't. It's funny enough. I was discussing this earlier with someone. Like, it's actually a cab driver who's taking me back to my burst tire in Addington, but he's a Man United fan, and like the sanitisation of football, you can't say you wouldn't want it. From my opinion, I'll ask you boys in a minute. We look back at the 87, 88, 88, 89 season, the iconic kits, the iconic times we discussed. For me personally, to experience that now with my son, it's an absolute no-brainer. It wouldn't last, and I don't think it would change our club. But I'd love to go up for one season. But it's refreshing we're even talking about this. Boys, we probably wouldn't survive. I think a bit of Millness, a bit of kick, bollock and bite might see us survive one season, but I think we'd be surprised of how many would step up, in my opinion. What do you usually think?
I think we get battered every week. We might, I think, there probably are a few teams that would give a good go at the Den, but like, the Leicester game in the cup, I know they didn't even get out of second gear and they beat us 2-0 and they strolled around the pitch and I don't know. I think it would be mega. Wouldn't care anyway. Like I said, I'd go to every game.
We wouldn't give a fuck, would we?
Our home record keeps up. No, it wouldn't.
You pretty much, this is, no brainer. I'd take it. Look, if someone said go up, but then you go straight back down, look, people are thinking, you end up in financial problems. We've got an owner that will manage that money properly. He's not going to go spending 10 mil on a striker from the French league.
Exactly.
He's not going to do anything like that. He'll probably, obviously, by the caliber of player, will be a step up from what we are doing now. But he's not going to do anything silly, because if we go down, he'll have a game plan where, all right, we've gone down, but we're going to keep most of these players because we'll try and get the playoffs again. Financially, I don't think it would be such a plus for us, because our owner knows what he's doing and he knows how to keep the club moving forward. So that would be already enough for me. I'd take bottom with 1 point, but then the season after that, we'd have that finance, and then we'd actually give the Championship a good go. We wouldn't have to sit back against all the bigger teams. Look, and then
I think it's the next natural progression. I think we've established ourselves now as a champ club. So I think 5-6 seasons now. Like you say, I think that could move us to the next level. Yes, we'd come back down, if not first season, definitely in the second, but it would just put us to that next level,
especially
financially and as a club in general.
We're well run. I just think we would be so stupid not to want that extra bit of money that can help us in the Championship long run if we are going to go down. How I think we'd do, realistically, we'd probably go down first season, but there's other factors that sometimes some of these players, they just step up. Like when you go from the Championship to the Premier League, how many players do it? They get a transfer to the Premier and then they just end, like Jared Bowen, for instance, players like that. They end up just becoming, I don't know, something clicks for them. They're playing at a high level and it just works. I'm not saying all our players will end up getting in the England squad, but I'm just saying that I reckon there'd be certain players in that team that would probably, someone like maybe Jake Cooper might take well to the league.
Yeah.
I don't know about Saville because it didn't really work for him at Borough, but you never know. Putting in that environment, he might step up his game. There's players in that team that could up their game. Danny Mack might,
Billy Mitchell,
all of those players, they'll be hungry, and we might get a good fee out of them. Even I'm not saying I want him to go, but I'm just saying there's so many opportunities that the Prem could just give us that
we would need to spend some money on someone up top. Then I don't think if we do go up, it's ridiculous conversation. We've now gone into the world of like the Nether regions. If we do go up,
a photo and a free.
I think we may need somebody who might get us back. Do you know someone like Carlon Grant at West Brom, who I actually think is a quality.
He did all right. He was scoring for Huddersfield when they were going.
And he's a South London lad,
but that's the sort of players you'd want to go for, because if you go down, you'd keep hold of them. They'll still be committed to the cause. It would end up like, I think Huddersfield bought them the French striker, spent like 15 mil on him, and then they went down and he didn't even get a game in the Championship, or couldn't score in the Championship either. So I think
that's where people lose their head with it. Like,
I think players are grounded.
I think that, I'll be honest, like I love a lot of our players. I love Danny Mack. There's a lot of Danny Mack love in the chat. We've got a little bit of a bromance going on Instagram. I don't want to go into it, but he's fantastic for us, yes. But I think all our players are grounded enough. I don't think if we got into the Prem that he'd be imminently going elsewhere. I think our players are at a level where they're good enough, but to go to that next level, I don't. Maybe even Danny Mack at the minute, no. His final product needs work. He's never scored for us. Same
Jed Wallace.
Yeah, I think if we went up, and let's get on to that debate, Jeb Wallace. Now, he has said that he wants to play in the Premier Mill. I said this at the start of the show. Was that a token that, we're not going to go up, so I'll stay with Mill? I think he would stay if we went up because he loves to be that big fish in the small pond, if you like.
He
I think
definitely
he'd
would.
stay.
Yeah, because where would you go really? You obviously could go for more money, but I feel like he would have probably done that by now if he was that desperate for another payday. I think if we got up, he would love to be that main guy that we turn to 0-0 with 5 minutes to go. Who's on the free kick? I think he loves all that, and he loves the club. Like just because he wants to leave for a bit more money in the future doesn't mean he hasn't loved playing for us. You know, it is a career, it is a job at the end of the day, and you've got to get as much money as possible. But with that, obviously, you want to enjoy your career, and I think he's enjoyed it with us. And if we could get that playoff push, I think that would kind of give him a taste of the sort of club we're trying to be. Like we are trying to compete in the top places of the Championship, and by default, we're trying to get into the Premier League. It sounds weird saying it, but that is what we're trying to do. We're not here to, battle it out with Barnsley, Derby, and Peterborough. Like we're trying to give it a go.
Chazo Luke says we have a good group of lads. I don't want to go up and build a whole new squad. I don't think that one we do that.
I don't think
Berylson would allow that to happen.
We're one of the very few teams that wouldn't do it.
Norwich. Someone said that we'd do something very similar to Norwich. I would have thought try to get a couple of key players in that might raise the quality overall of the squad.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think we necessarily would.
We're not that sort of club.
Could be incorrect. I mean, maybe he'll sell us to some Saudi billionaires.
Trev, I saw that. I did actually like the photo. Where was that? You bumped into Danny Mac, one of your cosmopolitan, affluent places, I'm sure, on a Sunday.
Was he eating a Sunday roast? Because, surely his nutritionist needs to be on the money if he was, right?
I'm just looking for restaurant tips off Trev, if I'm honest, because I know he's a guy about town. Do you know what I mean? He's got a bit about him, so he probably had honey roast parsnips, Brussels in pancetta.
Yeah, but we ain't got Kenny this night to have a linguine, a moussaka linguine or something like that. Some weird.
So, boys, let's wrap it up. Sorry, Volta Sampo getting a lot of love. Do you think we'll make the top 6?
Yeah, I think so. If we carry on the form we've got, yes. I'm not going to say no. Otherwise, what's the point of me?
I can't see any reason why not.
I've told too many of my mates we're doing it now, so I can't say no now we're on the podcast.
So do you guys ever look at Nate Silver's 538 percentages stuff? He reckons we got a 23% chance of making the playoffs, which actually is relative. Guy? So he does loads of that GX stuff, works out who's likely to go based on their running and all this other stuff. I don't understand how it works. I'm not that clever. But yeah, he's got some 23% making the playoffs, which isn't bad. QPR's got 29, Blackburn 44, Forest 49, Sheffield United 51, Middlesbrough 50, Huddersfield 51. Luton,
have you got any stats there or in front of you?
Yeah.
I was about to say, if you haven't, it's great fucking memory.
No, I just because I always find it quite interesting to just look at that and think a completely different perspective. Because I've got a mate that does a lot of professional gambling. He's got his own company, and the first season we went up, he said, "Oh, we've run the numbers on Millwall. They're not going to go down. They'll be fine." And I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I reckon actually you're probably looking inside the top 10." And I was like, "What are you drinking, mate? A pint of, because whatever it is, I'll take 4 litres of it." And thought he was a bit mad, but then it turned out he was right. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he said the same thing at the beginning of this year. He said, "No, we like Millwall. We always do." I think it is. It's within our hands, which is a great thing.
It is within our hands, yeah.
But I mean, it's a stretch, right? Because there are so many other teams between us and the playoffs.
But what a fucking lovely position to be in, we are, boys. On a couple of separate notes from Millwall and the dream, which is the Championship playoffs. Everton have scored the 91st minute. Apparently, it was a deflection off the geezer whose cable tied to the goalpost. And when you just said what you're drinking, it's nothing to do with football, but I'm just going to, it's my show, so I can do what the fuck I like. I'm right into this IPA beer at the minute. You had this IPA?
Yeah, that's what I drink all the time.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
I had
Well, what's-
Brewdog IPA last night.
Yeah.
And I went to the Gaucho Grill a couple of weeks ago, and I had like an Estrella IPA. Mate, this IPA is next level. I try to get some tonight for the stream, but I've ironed out a bottle of red
You need
instead.
to try a Beavertown Neck Oil. That's the IPA that is quality.
What's it called?
Beavertown Neck Oil.
It don't sound like a good beer, Ant, but
Mate, it's good. It's a bit more expensive than the others, but it's worth it.
Oh, there we go.
really, yeah, it's fucking mate. This IPA stuff, it's the new me. It's the new me. We need 77 points apparently. Luke Doling is telling us.
Okay. All right. What are we on now? 50.
57, no?
No, 57. Sorry, 57. Let's have a look.
We need 77. We need 20 points.
Yeah, 20 points out of
20 points from 8 games.
8 games.
It's big.
That's 7 wins out of the last 10.
It's big.
Or 6 wins and 2 draws or something like that.
If that's the benchmark, I think we're going to struggle.
Who is our remaining fixtures, boys? I haven't put that. I haven't done the
what does
graphic.
that geezers? What does Natty say? How many points does he reckon he needs to make the playoffs? Right, hang on. One,
Who?
two,
Natty.
three,
What are we looking at here? Can someone let us know? Super Steve could be.
He reckons 73 points to make the
Who
playoffs.
is our remaining fixtures? Because
Mate,
I'll post
So
our
we've got Luton away, then we've got Swansea at home, then Barnsley at home, Preston away, Hull away, Birmingham away. No, Hull at home, Birmingham away, Peterborough at home, and then Bournemouth last day. So we're not actually playing many teams above us after Luton.
that is usually the Millwall way, the downfall, isn't it?
But actually, so
Barnsley,
after Luton,
usually Barnsley. Someone else said Barnsley. That's all I'm saying. I was like, oh fucking hell.
after Luton, it's all teams below us, then Bournemouth on the final day. So if we carry on playing if we play like we've done against Huddersfield, creating, making chances, I think we got a chance.
There's a lot. Sorry, boys. There's a lot of love. I'm just veering away from football. A lot of love for IPA. If Trev drinks it, it's good enough for me. What's this? Why have they all got random names? Rusty Sheriff's Badge. There you go. Yeah, I've gone all fucking what's it called? I've gone all Trevor Reimer Goff and Hatred no one likes. I've gone all like cool and fucking hipster. Is it hipster? I don't know. But there's a lot of recommendations for IPAs. Hull will be the worst one, says Chazzo Luke. For me, Barnsley at home is always, and they're doing well, Barnsley, aren't they?
I think for me, just because I hate them because of the playoffs. I think the one that could kill us would be Birmingham away. We've had some good results up there the last few years as well, so I'm kind of like, are we due a
1-1, Sean Williams, Ben Thompson 2-0, both goals.
Fred on
your dimmer 2-1, well 1-0.
1-0, yeah.
There was one time when Alan Dunn scored the winner, didn't he? Ages ago.
Yeah, that's right. On a Tuesday night for the first time in like 67 years, we'd won up there. That's right. Since like 1960. Yeah, my mate Paul Stimpson was like, I'd never seen this win up there, and he'd be going since like 1963, or maybe it was 1863. I can't remember. He won't be watching this anyway, but if anyone knows him, don't tell him I said that.
Pardon? He won't be watching. What else is he doing? Is he mad? Right, boys.
It's the internet.
It's been nearly 2 hours. I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I think we might have passed 17,100 subscribers tonight. There's only 4 short. So if we haven't, I'm going to be asking questions. If you haven't already, please subscribe. H, final thoughts? Anything, words of wisdom before we disappear into the night sky?
Don't walk. If you're going to Stoke, don't walk from the station to the ground because it's a fucking mile. It's a long way.
You going to Stoke?
Nah, can't. Nah.
No, I'm actually away this weekend, so I'm not going to Stoke. Anthony?
No, not Stoke. Shithole.
Yeah, do you know what? I said I'm standing by my word. I ticked off a lot of grounds, and I think Huddersfield was the only remaining one of the Championship this season for me, which is done. I said I'm not going Stoke. I'm not going Preston. But other than that, I'm going to every game now until the end of the season. But I was half tempted by Stoke. It's only because I've already booked to go away, so I can't go. But I will be live streaming Saturday. 9 games left. 9 games, says Basley. 9 games left? Are we going to do it, boys, in a word, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be 2-0 on Saturday as well.
2-0 to us?
Yeah.
I'm going for 0-0 or 1-1 each.
I reckon 3-0. I reckon we're just going to absolutely wreck them.
Really?
Cooper with 1 and Jed Wallace free kick top corner. That's what I'll go with.
There you go. I might sit there in the predictions. Right, boys. Thanks always for your input. I'm not going to lie and say we're going to keep this weekly because I'm just far too busy these days, as I'm sure you boys are. But really enjoyed it. Let's do it again soon. H, Anthony, thanks, boys.
No problem.
Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Please subscribe to Lions TV.
Come on, you Lions.
Come on, you Lions.
Come on, you fucking Lions.